we go YouTube. Quick video update on the K24 turbo setup. We are finally done with putting it all together and getting it ready to get back into the car. So in this video, what I'm going to be doing is sharing a bunch of the parts, what I'm using, why I use them, and just try to describe them as best that I can, and just try to give you guys a real simple description of my turbo setup. And maybe hopefully it allows other people to get courage and build their own turbo setup, understand that it's not as difficult as some people may think, and it does get kind of pricey, but I believe it's all worth it because the whole goal here is to have a bunch of fun. Alright, so first things first is our turbo itself. Here's this bad boy, and this is the turbo we are using. Just for a little bit more clarification on those guys that's been asking me, I know I haven't showed too much description, but that's only because I was saving it off for this video so I can share all the information all at once, and we're not jumping from video to video and we don't confuse anyone. I'm trying to keep the work clean and very informative, so hope I'm able to help some of these guys with the questions they have. A lot of the info does go on Instagram, so this is just an easier way to answer all the questions all at once. So as you guys can see, we went with the black coated cold side. Thinking about doing the hot side only because of how close it sits to the valve cover. Trying to reduce some heat from the engine, so probably gonna go ahead and do that. But just to describe the turbo and our setup, got a bunch of our fittings, which is our ball bearing orifice fitting that the turbo asked for. We're going to be running our oil pressure regulator and filter to your turbo. If you guys want to do a little bit more research on that, it just helps your turbo stay safe from the high oil pressure that the engine sends out. And it's just a precautionary part that you may want to utilize just based on the information that's been shared with me with some of my turbo friends and the little bit of research I've done. So I'll share the part number with you guys here. Here's the pressure regulator that was made just for our car, the sleeper. Not just joking. They make it they called it the sleeper because it's all black. And we got our turbo oil filter, which mounts right up to your pressure regulator. And then we have our Turbo Smart AN fitting, which is ORB, and it's needed for your regulator. And the reason obviously we have an extra is because we have the ORB style filter that screws right into the regulator. So you'll just need your feed and your return. So just a little info on the routing and the way I'm gonna run mine. The reason I mounted mine onto the engine is because the goal was to have a turbo setup that is all one piece. Literally all we need to do is connect our turbo intercooler piping, and that's it. I wanted everything to be on the engine, no lines going anywhere besides the fuel lines and our engine harness. So this fitting here is going to be the feed, which is going to run down in here, back down this way. Then it will connect here to our feed. So what we did here is we got our, this is a BSP to AN4 fitting, and our blocks have a different thread. So that thread is like I mentioned, a BSP thread to a AN4, and this is a 1/8 BSP. And then here we have a AN4 to AN4 with 1/8 MPT adapter, and what this is allowing us to do is to run our oil pressure to our AM dash, and like I said, this will be our feed, to our pressure regulator. Then our pressure regulator has its return. We're gonna go from the return down back where we're gonna lead this one, and it'll return here on the oil return line, which is a AN10 adapter fitting with a 1A MPT back to a AN10 male. And this little adapter, what it does is allows me to run my return for my pressure regulator right here, and it just kind of simplifies all my lines. And it took me a little bit of while to come up with this setup, but I was able to do it. So this little guy is a 1A MPT to AN4. Now for our oil return from the turbo, we are going to be running a AN10 our T7 return OEM style location bracket, which I absolutely love because we don't have to do any type of welding to our oil pan or any type of crazy return. We were able to just mount this right up to the block, which is technically the cover of the side of the engine. Has no pressure, so it allows the return to flow right back into the engine. And this was bolt on, and this is an absolutely amazing piece. And if you guys are interested, you guys can contact my guy We F Shit Up, and he has these in stock. You guys can find him on Instagram and let him know I sent you. And then really simple, from our oil filter to our oil feed to our turbo, and just like that you have the fittings and oil turbo drain and feed setup completely done. Now for our wastegate setup, which if you guys watched the previous video, I explained the setup we're doing here and why we did it, just trying to keep it clean. Hypergate 45, which is a real nice piece, keeping everything turbo smart, matching my parts again, turbo smart. So just again, going for a clean setup. I really like the way this turbo manifold mounts, going with the Just TIG manifold, which is a absolute beaut. And then what we did was we added our titanium hardware and copper gasket just to keep it safe from the heat. And so yeah, this manifold was actually by choice. I wanted to keep this exact setup, just kind of like how you guys see it, all one piece with the turbo mounted kind of like on its backside. Now as far as fuel, as you guys may see in some of the previous videos, we're going with everything from radium. Going to be feeding it with 1700 ID injectors. As far as fuel goes, we are utilizing a stock long block. All it has is a Type S oil pump and a Unit 2 baffled oil pan, and that's pretty much it. I mean, can't get more simple than that as far as describing everything that I did here. Just kind of sharing my turbo setup, and as I go I will describe more. I just wanted to get a little bit of visual for you guys before I actually put it into the car. And yeah.